Hello everybody and welcome on challenge number 7 here at Adobe Live at the Illustrator Creative Challenge. And I can see so many lovely people in the chat already. I'm glad that today I remember to go live. I usually do some lovely introduction without being live, but luckily I'm here. My name is Claudia. I'm an Italian designer based in Manchester, UK, where I run my design studio Print My Soul. And I've been here already for nearly 2 weeks, having fun, sharpening our skills and learning new techniques in Illustrator. But if this is your first day at the Creative Challenge, don't worry, every challenge is a standalone, and I'm gonna lead you to the landing page where you can learn more about the challenge and start to play with Illustrator while we say hi to the chat. So let me go ahead and see my screen, and I can see in the chat we have Wade Acuff helping us as usual. Wade, you're amazing with all the wonderful links. Every time that I just basically say a link, Wade has already pasted it there. Actually, like, you probably sometimes read my mind as well. Jotirmia, nice to see you. Laura, Dave, Megan, Rick, I'm glad that you enjoy every challenge. Elizabeth, as usual, please let me know in the chat where you are watching from. I can see George Carmona from New York City already. Fantastic. So something I want to tell you real quick is that probably you noticed some flowers on my head. There is a reason for that. It's International Women Month. We kicked off this week, and right after this stream, I'm gonna be with the wonderful Julia Masaska, which will be hosting me for a 2 hours stream on editorial design. So we're also gonna be playing in InDesign. And guess who's the woman that I'm gonna celebrate? Put it in the chat. Let me know in the chat if you can guess right. Fantastic. Rick, that's so nice to know that you are sticking around with us. Arturo, you're ready? Then let's get started. Fantastic. So if you head to behance.net/challenge/illustrator, you're going to be able right away to see the challenge number 7. So we're 2 challenges to go. And in order to follow along, click on Get Started in order to be able to have the starter file, which is an Illustrator file. And by the way, if this is your first time working with Illustrator, if you scroll down, you're going to be able to have access to a free trial. So you can start to play with Illustrator during this stream. But also, don't forget to click on the community chat in order to be transported into the wonderful world of Discord. And I'm going to jump on the other side so you can see a little more. So our lovely Discord is our chat server where we have our wonderful Adobe team and the amazing mentors that are going to be helping, giving you feedback on your work, answer your questions, and of course, it's just a place where you can show off everything that you learned. Or even if perhaps you haven't finished or you're struggling, that's also a good place. As I say all the time, Adobe Live is a safe space to learn. I received a message from someone saying that the challenges were really stretching their comfort zone. Perfect. Nobody is here to judge. We're all here to learn. I make mistakes. I learn every time. I make many mistakes and learn. So this is a safe space to do that. And if you're not a beginner, but you're already someone that has been using Illustrator before, perfect. This is the fantastic time that you can take for yourself in order to create that portfolio piece that, you know, you never had the time to do. So let's actually jump into our Illustrator file. Hopefully by now you had the time to download it. It's just an artboard with a bunch of text. If you want to start from scratch and perhaps create your own artboard, what I will suggest for this kind of project is to start from create new and set the intent to art and illustration, and maybe perhaps select a poster and have landscape orientations. Those were the main settings that I provided, and the settings will be right away in RGB, so you can have a little bit more of fun with colors with the RGB colors. Right, but this is the starter file, so hopefully you've downloaded it. Elizabeth, anything fun happening? Oh, you're talking with Jotirmia. I love to see those interaction in the chat. And if you have, let me see if you have any question. Yes, Terry, Frida Kahlo, International Chat of Design. Absolutely, Frida Kahlo. That's exactly what you're going to be celebrating. If you love Frida Kahlo, let me know and put a flower in the chat. I'm a big fan. I'm going to share with you some of my, you know, it's a little preview from later on. But put a flower in the chat if you love Frida Kahlo. I absolutely love her, as you can probably tell already. Ciao, Steve. Loved Italian. Hi, Kalai. Fantastic. So let's get started. Today we're going to be learning how to create infographics. So infographics usually don't sound like too much fun, but Illustrator makes it so easy to do. So you can actually have fun with them. So what I'm going to do here is start by having a look at the data. So we have simple data. As you know, I talked about during these challenges, the theme is plants. So those are just some data about plants. There, for an example, you can use any data you want, even about your breakfast. You know, how much milk do you have? How much coffee do you have during the day? Any data that you want to display visually, the graph will help you to do that real quick. So at the moment, I'm just going to place the text on a side because I want to use the artboard for our graphs. And in order to use the graph into design is very simple. All you have to do is to head to your toolbar over here and click on the three dots in order to edit the toolbar. And I'm going to zoom in so you can have a better look at the actual three dots here because they're quite tiny. So once you click on edit toolbar, a window will pop up with all tools. Then what I will suggest you to do is to click on the flyout menu, this little burger menu on the top, and I'm gonna zoom in so you can see that as well. And then select advanced. By selecting advanced, you're gonna be able to display a larger number of tools. As you can see right now, in fact, we have our graph tool that appeared before it wasn't there and now is there. Here it is. It looks just like that. The standard graph, that is the first graph that you see in the toolbar, is the column graph. But all you have to do in order to access different displays and different way of visualizing data is to click and hold on the graph, and you will see that you have many different ways to display your data. So I'm going to start with the pie graph tool, which is probably the best known and the one that I believe it gives a lot of a very impactful way of displaying data. So it gives like the information with a glimpse of an eye. That's what I was trying to say. And by the way, let me see in the chat, we do have flowers. Oh, so much flowers for Frida. I'm so happy. I'm so glad you guys love Frida Kahlo as much as I do. Fantastic. Right, let me know if you have any questions in the chat. I'm going to try to keep my eyes in the chat while I work as usual. And right now, as you can see, I've selected the pie chart. So my little cursor is transformed into this little pointer cross. And what we're going to do here is to click and drag. And this area that we are defining is simply the area that we're going to be used in order to place our graph. So, you know, if you want to make it small or if you want to create a page. So if you're working in a layout, so if you're creating already a poster or something like that, you can decide how much of the graph you want to take. In this case, I'm going to create two graphs. So I'm going to just leave the top part of the page for this first graph, which is the pie. And then I'm going to use the bottom part for creating another graph. And it's really simple. Once we create our graph, of course, is a full black circle because at the moment there are 0 data or 100%. So there is no partition. In order to use these informations that we have here, let me show you. I'm just going to move them back right. Oops. Sorry, I've just had to move the information so I can actually read the data that we're gonna implement into the chat. And you can come back and click on your graph at any time. So look what happened. When I was clicking on the text box, the data and the graph went sort of pause itself. In order to bring it back, all you have to do is to click on the graph and the dialog box for the data will come up again. So all you have to do is to click on these cells in order to start importing the data. And I'm gonna show you just how to import the data first. So in this case, we have 10%. So I'm going to write 10, then select the cell next to it. And we have 20. And then it's 20 again. And it's perhaps on this cell over here. So I'm going to delete it from here and it's above. And I'm going to show you why. And then is 50. So we have a distribution of when we have plants in our house, this graph is telling us that the plants will affect the quality of your life. In fact, you will have 10% of CO removed, 20% of dust removed, and 20% boost in humidity in the house. And all the toxic compounds are going to be diminished by 50%. So anything that comes from, you know, the wall paints or the furniture paints, anything that is toxic, the plant absorbs them and converts them. So it's actually pretty good to have plants in the house. Now we placed our data, but nothing is happened yet because we still got to apply those data to our graphs. In order to apply the data, simply click on this little tick, and here we go. We have applied the distribution. But if we close our graph, just like so, we have a distribution, but then we will have to go and create a legend, or how do we know what we're talking about? Well, the best way to do so is to actually use the cell themselves in order to create the legend. So in this case, I'm going to go back and I'm going to zoom in so you can probably see that a little bit better. Let me see, let me zoom in. There we go. And I'm going to start to write first the label. So CO2 will be the first one. And I mean, you can go as far as even write reduction. And then so on for the second one will be dust reduction. And then we have boost humidity. And then I'm just gonna, that's a very long text. I'm just gonna put VOC removed. So, you know, toxic compounds removed. And now we can put here back the data. So we have 50%. So on the cell below, 20, and again, 20 and 10. And then in order to, of course, nothing is happened because remember, we have to apply the change. Just click on the tick and we applied it. And look what happened here. Once we applied it to our graph, we have our legend that is already there. So once we display our graph, we already know that the percentage of 50% we're talking on the toxic compound removed, and you know, the boost in humidity. So you can have a visual impact with a graph, but also a legend that lets you know what you're talking about. So it's going to be much easier to understand your data. Fantastic. And by the way, you can, even if you close your window for the data, you can always go back and bring it back by clicking on the graph and then selecting object, accessing the graph menu, and then choose data. And by doing so, you bring back your table. And let's say, you know, in this case, this is 40%. You can just simply apply, you know, the changes and make any changes you wanted. Now, if you create an actual vertical label, in that case, it will create more pie chart. But I want to talk to you about another graph real quick because the times as usual is running fast. I'm going to save my changes. And in this case, we're going to use this other information. So what else plants do for us? They have superpowers. They gives us more memory, creativity, productivity. So I really suggest you to get some plants in your room or in your office if you haven't done already. I'm going to head back to my pie graph tool, click and hold to reveal the other graph. And in this case, I'm going to go with a bar graph tool as we are distributing different information. So we just want to know how much our boosting our superpowers. And again, click and drag in order to create the area where your graph is going to be placed. And the same thing here. If we only input the data, we're only going to be seeing the bars. But if we actually input the title, so in this case, we can have memory. I'm just going to go real quick and just say memory, 20%, creativity. We have 45% an increase in creativity with plants. Isn't that crazy? Productivity, 32%. Attentiveness, I'm going to just write attention because otherwise it's going to be too long. 60%. And let's make sure that we actually paste it inside the correct line. So you really want to see the title on top and then the numbers below. And then we have attendance. So if you have them in the office, you're actually gonna show up more often if your office or your school has plants. That's actually been studied that schools that have plants have pupils that comes more often, and so on. We've got the last one. stability 25%. And again, nothing is happening because we haven't applied our data yet. So all we got to do, just like we did for the pie chart, is to click on apply. And here we go. Not only we have created our graph just that quick, but also we have the wonderful little legend there. Beautiful. So something that I wanted to show you is that you can also at any time, let's close this graph data, and again you can always head back to the main object menu and then data if you wish to change those data, but in this case we're happy with it. All we want to do though is to change the colors, because you know we like boring gray. Maybe they fit your project, and if they're good for your project, that's fantastic, but I really want to show you how to create some colorful infographics. And as you can see, to create them we took what, 2 minutes, and to recolor them we're gonna be as fast. So all you have to do is to click and drag on the graphs in order to select them all. So what I've done, I have selected the black arrow, which is our selection tool, and click and drag over both of our graphs to select them. Then I'm gonna go and click on the edit menu and select edit colors, and then recolor artwork. Now from here I can select the advanced options. And as you can see, we have all these colors that we could go and substitute one by one. If you do have a color group or a color palette they already provided with, you can just simply click on it and the color are already applied. But if you want to stick with your previous gradient monochrome with black and white, all you have to do is to click reset, then click edit to edit all the active colors, and then from here all you have to do is to change where these little colors are. And at the moment they are locked. As you can see from this little link, the color harmony is locked, so we're just going to move on a monochrome palette as everything was from black to white. But you can unlock them, and by doing so, and I'm going to zoom in on this lovely dialog box, we can move the colors around the color wheel anywhere that we want. Every single color can be moved around, and look what happens. All the colors are now applied to our graph. And not only you can change the color, but also the brightness of each single color, just like so. And if you see that the black color is not changing, is because we need to assign a color to it. So when we see to the colors, all you have to do is to double click on it and select yes in order to add that into the harmony, because otherwise it's just take it as a basic standard color. I was actually quite loving that cold palette. We can also make sure that, you know, every time that we don't see a color in the harmony, you want to add it up. So then when you go into the edit menu, you can actually start to change them. Now, the beauty of having an harmony is that you can just simply rotate the colors around the color wheel, and you can keep the same proportion within the colors. So the only one that I will have to change right now is the black one. We want to maybe to assign a yellow color over there. And whenever you're done, whenever you're happy with your color creation, simply click on OK. And you can save this color, the swatch group. Yes, let's save it. And here it is. How fast it was, like literally in 10 minutes, not only we create graphics, but we also change them. Now, let's say that we want to change something like this little legend because it's too big. All you have to do is to press the letter A to access the direct selection tool and click and drag over it in order to select it. Then from here, we can start to move it around separately. And if you're happy and you know that pretty much you don't have to change your graph anymore, you can go a step further. Let's say that we already know that that's it, we're not going to change anymore. You can go under Object and Expand. And once you expand your graphics, you will not be able to edit the data anymore, but you will be able to treat it as a normal shape. So, you know, you're going to be able to resize it and do everything else that you will usually do with graphs. And for whatever reason, if you will need perhaps to expand it again, sometimes happens, especially because I had more than one graph selected at the same time. The only thing that will be left to do here is to perhaps click on the rectangle tool and click and drag in order to create a background, which I'm going to make of a darker color. Let's see if this dark purple work. In order to bring it to the back, use the shortcut Command Shift left bracket. Oops, and make sure that you have your selection tool. So Command Shift left bracket if you're on a Mac. That's of course Control Shift left bracket if you're working on a window. And I think that the dark background looks quite nice over here because we do have all this lovely color palette that is nice and bright, and we can now move this data as well, just like so. And once you're done, all you have to do perhaps is to just copy the title. I will probably have 1 minute, so all I have to do here is to copy also the Give Us Superpower and paste it. And maybe I'm going to choose something nice and bold. I'm in love with this integral font lately. I've been using it so much. And I'm going to make it white so I know that it's going to stick out. And I'm doing all these changes to the font from the properties panel, by the way, under the character options, just right here. And I'm going to make it bigger. Not isolation mode. Aaron, I don't know what do you mean with not isolation mode? I can go in isolation mode. So isolation mode is a way of enter groups. So probably you're talking about expand. Expand transforms text or any other shapes into simple shapes. So it actually expands them, breaks whatever containers they're in. When you go in isolation mode, is more for groups. So it doesn't change the quality and the appearance of your shape, but allows you, like for example, these two elements are grouped, because you can see that whenever I click on the circle, also the legend is selected. If I double click on it, that's the isolation mode, and that will allow us to start to select things independently the more that we go deeper into the isolation. I hope that makes sense. So anything else is not clickable when you're isolating on a specific group, but that's very different from expand. We use expand to transform objects into shapes. And so here we have our title, and I'm gonna pretty much copy the same text area there because we just got 1 more minute. And I'm just gonna copy this text. By the way, if you have a text just like so and you wanna copy the aspect of another text, simply click on the eyedropper tool and click on the text, and here we go. We've literally copied the same editing, the same appearance that we had for the other text. In this case, you want to make sure that you double click in order to access the area type, so we can make this one maybe on 2 lines. I think it looks so much better in 2 lines. So now all we have to do is to move our pie graph underneath, just like so. And we're done. We literally created some beautiful information infographic very, very quickly. Right, all we're left to do is to export them. Option Command E is the shortcut to export for screen. Make sure that you select your destination folder. I'm gonna use my desktop, and I'm gonna click on choose, and I'm gonna call it 01 graph, so it's just easy to see, and click on export artboard. Now the reason that I want to do that is because when we jump into our Discord, all we have to do is to head to the feedback challenge channel, click on the plus icon, and make sure that you find your image, and then click on open. And this is challenge number 7. Of course, you can write anything you want over here, any questions, or maybe any detail about the challenge, or maybe you're doing a past challenge. It's completely fine. Click on upload, and the amazing Adobe Live team and the mentor and all the lovely people that are here online will be able to give you feedback and look at your work. Of course, don't forget to share your work on Behance. Make sure that when you create a new project, under the settings, you use the project tag AI Creative Challenge. This will allow you to be featured into the galleries here on Behance. So Adobe Live will be able to find your project. Remember, AI Creative Challenge. Here it is, under project tags. And of course, you can use the same tags, AI Creative Challenge, if you share on your social media, because we love to find your work, maybe if you're sharing it. And if you are perhaps want to connect with me on social media, my hashtag, my @ is I am Clary, but we can talk about it in just a moment, because I'm gonna say goodbye for now. And of course, I'll see you tomorrow for the creative challenge, but stick around, grab a glass of water. I'm just gonna drink my water, and we're gonna be back with Julia Masaska and with the editorial in InDesign. Thank you so much, everybody. As usual, it's a blast to be here during the challenges. Feel free to ask questions on Discord, and I will catch you in just a minute. Thank you so much, everybody. Bye.